marriage is so not my dream. But would I do a committed long-term relationship should the right guy come around? Yes, I would. Stay tuned for part 7 in the series.
And then there's another one, Nick. We'll do that one too. It's like a Instagram page.
You want to sound over it?
Yeah.
There she is, ladies.
No, you don't have to play it.
Yo,
it's
no
just
one higher standards than the.
no one has
thicker
higher.
skin.
Say this for us.
And no one has higher standards and thicker skin than a 33-year-old virgin. Radical feminist, so patriarchal. Ew, red pill bros, expired meat.
Word.
But it's true though. It's like I get it from both sides. You know what I mean?
No one has higher
okay, so no, I'm going to
standards.
challenge this, right?
Absolutely.
I don't think it's true. I think that what you've created is a false dialectic, where you're paraphrasing what the position of each is, even though that's not actually the position. I don't think that any red pill bro would give a flying fuck under the sun that you wanted to retain your virginity due to the fact that you're just not attracted or asexual. I think instead the pushback you would get probably would be from the, quote, Christ-pilled bros who would just say, well, this isn't being done for the purpose of virtue, but just like due to quirks, right?
Yeah, I would say, I would just say going off of some of the comments from being on this podcast the last time, I would say that a lot of them were that I was expired because I'm in my 30s, although I don't want to have kids. And then I would say in terms of like the other side with the ladies, maybe like more the modern day feminists, I feel like I get a lot of that I have internalized misogyny, that I'm part of the patriarchy. It's like I'm part of the problem. So I do feel like I'm getting it from both sides.
Well, I think that there's a conflation which happened. I think that the conflation from the leftist side, the non-patriarchal side, is saying they probably assume that because you're promoting your chastity and virginity, that you are some kind of like right-wing patriarchist, and so they're probably strawmanning your actual position. But I could see that as being true. But the red pill version of it, I can't see as being true. I don't see why any red pillar on planet Earth would give a shit one way or the other if you retained your chastity based on asexuality. Though I do think that an argument could be made from their end that if they're saying expired, they just mean, well, what's the point in keeping the chastity if you get past your 30s and are unable to bear children? What would be the point of the allure for a man who wanted children? Which I think would be a fair point, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair enough. I think, obviously some guys aren't going to respect it if they want kids, and that's totally fair. I've been very open about the fact that I don't want kids, so I don't see the problem in it necessarily. But But I would say though, I don't think that I have less value as a virgin because I don't want to have kids and don't want to be legally.
Yeah, well, you would have significantly less value to men.
Well, that's fair. I mean, yeah, men that want that, of course, that's.
Well,
fair.
no. I mean, just most men
because I don't want kids.
would be desirous of a virgin because of the paternal aspect of this, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that would lessen the desirability. I understand kind of the play of both sides of hitting both sides, but I don't see how a red pill position, and I'm no red pillar by any means, by the way, but I do understand the position. I don't actually see why they would give a shit one way or the other.
Yeah.
Well, and I think honestly, the criticism from the red pill would be that your standards are too high. I think that would be the criticism, not that you're expired.
But there's standards, right? It's just like it's asexuality. What standards are we even appealing to?
Well, I'm not full blown asexuality. I mean, like I said, it's not that I'm asexual necessarily. I just am not attracted frequently to people. So I guess yes, you could.
Yeah,
categorize it as that.
there's a lot of qualifiers going on here, which are really hard to navigate. I'm not really. I kind of am, but I'm not. There's a lot of like qualifiers to navigate this idea. So we can consolidate the idea.
Okay.
Asexuality. I don't want to have sex with the opposite sex because I don't find sex and sexuality to be particularly appealing.
And that's where I would not consider myself asexual, because it's not that I wouldn't have sex with someone or find it appealing.
I'm not asking if you would or wouldn't, but generally speaking, you seem to stay away from it. because it's not like it has no real import to you. Sexuality itself is not of great importance to you.
I want to try to be as honest as I can. I feel like it's not that I don't see the value in it. It's not that I don't want to have sex, but I'm not going to just sleep with someone to sleep with someone. Does that make sense? So if I'm not,
We've already established
that's
this,
Right.
diverting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I continue, but it's
I'm
we've
just
already
saying,
established.
it feels like that's a real big diversion, kind of away from what I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't see value in sex. I'm not saying you wouldn't have sex. I'm saying that your attraction to men is almost negligible. It's almost not there, and you don't find sexuality personally to be of great importance to you, or really of any importance to you ultimately.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the right person, yes. I don't really know what to say other than that.
Wouldn't every asexual person say that?
I don't think so. No, I think
If the right person came along, I wouldn't be asexual anymore. Like, wouldn't that be kind of the great cope of all asexual people?
Well,
I don't
that's what
think so. I think
literally
they'll-
goes back to what we were saying. Like, if you don't know what it feels like, then technically, like, you would be considered that because you don't know what it'd feel like to
Right.
be indifferent from that.
Right, exactly. And I also feel that a lot of people who consider themselves asexual are sex averse and know for sure or grossed out by sex and wouldn't want to have sex. So I actually don't think that's
It's
true.
interesting. I've talked to several asexual people, male and female, and the universal that I found between all of them was the idea that if the right person came along, then I would probably break the asexuality, but they just never have.
That's fair.
And so I just don't really feel much in the way of attraction to people. But if I ever did, if suddenly I did find other people attractive, then I would. But aren't you just saying kind of the same thing? Isn't that really the same thing you're saying?
I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
Wait, can we pull the article back up?
Yeah.
my article.
So it says in the article, so you're an only child, right? Can you scroll down, Nick,
Yep.
to kind of keep going? Keep going. Okay, this part, can you read it, Lauren, from here?
As an only child, Harkins learned early on how to be content on her own and never actively pursued a relationship. And while her friends navigated the ups and downs of young love, Harkins, it's funny to call myself Harkins, was dealing with the death of her father, William, who passed away when she was a teenager. Harkins now lives primarily off her late dad's trust fund and has enjoyed an action-packed life of travel and adventure, saying sex simply wasn't a priority.
So, okay, well, this changes the context significantly. So, sex for you has never had to be a tool of barter for resource, right? So, you're essentially a trust fund baby?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, then your interactions are definitely outside of the norm, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how that
Yeah.
changes.
What's the trust fund looking like?
What's the trust fund looking like
Oh, I mean,
now?
I spend a lot of money, so
It's what?
I spend a lot of money, so I don't imagine it'll be a forever thing. I mean, my
Hashtag
dad
life
wasn't a
insurance.
millionaire, so
Oh,
I'm an only child, but
he wasn't.
Only child trust fund
wait,
baby.
he wasn't a millionaire.
was not.
However, I would like to comment and say that I am sorry about your father's passing. That's awful.
Thank
I wouldn't
you.
wish that on anybody. That's a terrible thing. But let's
you. I
get back to the
appreciate that.
trust fund baby thing, okay?
All right.
So the idea that how is this not just basically all down to a series of quirks? I mean, it basically has to be, right? So you have this great big trust fund, you have no reliance on opposite sex, you can basically live in your own world, free from the externalities of the world because you don't really have to live in it, right? I mean, have you even had a job? Have you ever really had a job? Like a real job?
Yeah, I mean, I worked in corrections for 2 years. I've done jobs. I would say that working in like the law enforcement field was the most fulfilling job that I've had.
Would you date anybody like?
No, hang on. I just want to clarify a couple things real quick. When you say I worked in corrections for 2 years, was it a part-time job?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
I've never
okay.
had a full-time job.
I thought it might have been.
Yeah, 100%.
Thought it might have
Wait,
been
you've never had a
part-time job.
full-time
Never
job?
had a full-time job.
34, never
Yeah,
had a
never
full-time
had.
job?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Damn.
that's true.
So your interactions with the world are extremely limited. right? You've never, I mean, all your jobs have either been part-time or just no job, right?
My interactions with the world are limited to the extent of jobs, yes.
Not just jobs, but the way that you engage with other people is going to be from an elitist set, right?
No, not necessarily, no.
I think necessarily. Like, how could you ever really understand the struggles that people go through? You've never had to deal with any of them.
I guess to that I would just say my friend circle is varied ages, different economic class, so I'm not friends with people just based on social class or.
Well, I'm not saying that you're friends with them based on their social class. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's no way for you to internalize the same experience that they do because you've never gone through anything like it, right?
Sure, that's fair, yeah.
You're basically born with a silver spoon in your mouth, so your experiences are far and away different. This is actually interesting to note as well that that a trust fund baby with a silver spoon in her mouth, born with a silver spoon in her mouth, had an article written up on her about virginity from a secular worldview. Do you think there's any correlation there? Like, do you have contacts in media? Is that why that happened?
No, they reached out to me based on my social media. But I would like to clarify, when you said that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I mean, I wasn't. I was raised, middle, upper class. I only have been able to afford my lifestyle because my dad passed away.
Yeah, but he
Does that
passed
make
away
sense?
when you were very young.
Yeah, I was 16.
Yeah, so you were very young. So no, the externalities of now having a huge fund of money, which is at your disposal, definitely shields you from the externalities of the world in a way most people don't get, right?
No, that's fair, yeah. I wouldn't
Yeah.
dispute that for sure, yeah.
Yeah. And let me just ask this one last follow-up question. If I were to take two boxes and just see which ones you filled the most, right? I'm not asking for which one you think you fit perfectly into.
2 watches?
But just the two boxes.
Boxes.
Just the one that we fill the most.
Okay.
If I put up the box for progressive or conservative, you would fill the progressive box far more than the conservative box, wouldn't you?
No, I don't think so. Would you only say that because I'm not traditional?
No, I would say that based on social issues, which I would assume that you would have. Look, can I name the social issues
Yeah,
and we'll see how
absolutely.
correct I am?
Yep.
When it comes to abortion, women have the right to choose.
I've always been pro-choice, so yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay, so women have
But-
the right to choose.
but I would
okay, hang
say-
on, hang on,
okay.
hang on,
Yes,
hang
go
on.
ahead.
I'm not
Yes.
asking for the caveats yet.
Yes.
Okay. Social justice matters.
Social justice matters. I don't think I would check that one.
No, social justice doesn't matter.
I wouldn't check that box for myself.
Do Black Lives Matter?
Oh, Shander's going deep with it.
It's not deep.
What?
All lives matter.
Okay. So, so moving to the next social, is equality important, and is feminism a product of its time, which was necessary to free women from the entanglements of the enslavement of the patriarchy?
At the time, in
Yes.
first wave feminism, second
Yeah.
wave feminism, yes.
Yep.
I wouldn't
Okay.
say that. I wouldn't say I have any value. I don't think that has any value
you're
today.
progressive through and through, progressive.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're asking me questions though that I would check more of the conservative box on.
Well, okay. Well, what is a conservative?
I would say, in a lot of ways, traditional, which I don't check that box with a lot of
Traditional,
things.
well, okay.
Traditional,
Traditionalism can be correlated, sure. But traditionalism meaning what? You wear like a fedora and a long coat, and you have a house where you have a mommy and a daddy and kids. Is that what traditional is, or what is traditional? What are these values you're alluding to?
Oh man. I mean, that's I guess, one way of looking at it.
What's the way you look at it?
How do I look at traditional?
Wait, are we
Yeah,
trying to
what is
ascertain? Are
I'm
we
just
trying to
asking
ascertain?
basically, what is conservatism? What is it?
You're
from
not
your purview?
traditional, though.
I'm
right?
not traditional.
She's not traditional.
But
I agree. She's not traditional.
Right,
I'm just
but
wondering
No,
I-
what
but she
that
says
means
it.
for
She says it.
Yeah, I'm 100% not traditional. But
Not saying you are. I'm just wondering what that means
and that's
to you.
okay. But I in terms of conservatism, I feel like a lot of my values and the content I enjoy and the things that I agree with are more conservative than progressive.
Great.
So what's
Can you name one of
traditional,
those
right?
values?
Oh, I think that's what he's asking. Like, what's traditional?
Medical mandates, for one.
Medical mandates for what?
For,
No, I don't.
like, yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know where that's. I don't even know what the hell that means.
I don't
medical
believe
mandate.
in medical mandates.
Oh, you mean for? Oh, okay, for
Yeah.
for that. Okay, yeah, but that's not a conservative. There's plenty of progressives who never believed in mandates for lockdowns, for
Okay.
instance. So what is an actual conservative value you adhere to? A real value?
Second Amendment.
There's liberals who believe in the Second Amendment.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we just aren't seeing eye to eye on that one. I'm kind of a
So
balanced
guns and no
person.
lockdowns, and that's conservatism?
No, I wouldn't say that's conservatism, but I never claimed to be a true conservative. I just said, for the most part,
Okay.
my values are conservative leaning. But
I would say the opposite. I would say they're very progressive leaning. By the way, if you start off with I'm pro-choice, right? I
That's
think
fair.
that any other position you have behind that is irrelevant when it comes to the progressive conservative dialectic.
That's fair. I would say one thing, though, because I would like to clarify. I feel like since becoming more conservative, I can see where the other side is coming from with that. But I would still say, yes, I am pro-choice. However, I can see where the other side is coming from. I think that's important to note as well.
Then what
Well, I
would
can
be,
see
like-
where the other side is coming from, too. They're just fucking wrong, right?
Yeah, and that's fair. I feel like like I said, you're obviously more traditional and conservative than I am, and I totally respect that. But I'm not.
I do not
that way.
associate traditionalism with
What
conservatism.
is traditional then in
Okay.
this aspect, right? Because like you're not traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't-
Traditionalism is set with cultural standards. It's just saying we're appealing to experiments that worked. So men pay for dates. They open car doors. There's a way that they react and act around their families. There's a way in which stoicism is applied. That's all the idea of traditionalism and application to culture. Conservatism is a political ideology based around the conservation of the ideal of the ethical framework of Christianity. That's what it is. Progressivism is the slow march towards social equality, trying in every way possible to eliminate whatever perception of injustice exists on planet Earth. That's the distinction between the two ideologies.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I think, to be honest, you're a fantastic debater. You know way more about this than I do, so I respect your opinion. I respect your views.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, that's all.
Yeah, and I'm
But anyway, I
happy to-
appreciate the inquiry. I can see that Brian looks like he's going to punch himself in the mouth, so I'm going to turn the mic back over to him so he can move it on.
Fair.
I just want to try to get some of the other panelists involved here. So, going through the notes here, going to Lauren. You're a horse girl.
That's what you put on the episode name?
Yep. You got 5 horses. You got 5 horses.
Yep. I live
Does
a
it
pretty
ever get in the
boring
way of your dating?
life. No. I think guys find it interesting I ride horses.
Okay.
I think it's super cool.
Is there anything to the trope of horse girls being crazy? Is there anything there?
Oh yeah, I get that a lot.
Are you crazy?
A little bit, yeah.
Why? How are you crazy?
I feel like my past has like made me crazy. Like guys like made me crazy, like not being communicative, or like not living up to the standard like I want. So it created me like with trust issues. So then it kind of filtered into relationships. So that's what kind of made me crazy.
Okay. And how did it filter into relationships?
The trust issue thing, like when the guy said like, is it fair if like my girl is like being crazy, like if I've definitely had my fair share of like something happened in my past and then it kind of was like, I don't know how to explain this good, like someone did something like in my past and like someone in like who I'm currently dating is like kind of showing like signs of it, and then I'll like go crazy about it and be like, well, this is what happened before, like why wouldn't I think it's happening again? And then I'd have to be like, wait, like this is a different person I'm dating, I'm not dating that other person. If that kind of makes sense.
Okay. People say horse girls are crazy, but I've always found them rather stable.
I
want to be a horse girl. I want to be a horse girl.
Some people think horse girls are real nightmares.
I don't know if I am a nightmare.
Well, I would like to dive into a couple things. I've been trying to do a little bit of math over here. Brian, can you play the math emblem? I just want to make sure that I have this right. You have 5 different horses which are boarded all over the country and are currently being trained, correct?
State. Yeah.
Okay. What is the average cost to have one of these horses trained?
I just dropped 20 grand on all 5 of my horses, so about 4 grand each, right?
Okay. And how often do you have to drop payments on these horses being trained?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
How often do you have to drop cash on these horses being trained?
That was a one-time payment. They're only there for about 4 to 6 months, and I have to go and get them when I get back home.
So for $20,000, you can have 6 horses trained?
Basically. 5 horses.
And they're boarding them for this cost as well, feeding them, all
Yeah.
of that? 6 of them?
5 of them.
I'm sorry, 5 of them.
Yeah.
So it's only $5,000 per horse to have them boarded for 6 months and trained? I literally just don't believe that this is even possible or true. I don't.
Well, I read that
I'm
track.
trying to be charitable here, but I just don't think anybody would board a horse for half a year for $5,000 and train it.
I know trainers pretty well up and down California. That's why. And
So they're just doing it as a favor?
some of
Private
them
jet.
are, some of them aren't. My most expensive for like 6 months was about 10 grand.
And you're shelling out all of this money.
Yeah.
You shelled out $20,000. What do you do for a living?
I do social media management. I'm a server, and I'm an influencer.
Mute it.
Well, are these like highly productive jobs when it comes to payment?
Well, yeah, like I pay them either, like we have payment plans, because like obviously I can't give out $10,000 at a time. So like I'll pay them like monthly.
You're doing like Paygo?
Yeah, like Afterpay
Okay.
or like a credit card.
Okay.
No, I'm not like physically and have like a bag of cash and it's like, here you go.
And there's no external help from the parents at all for the horses. I just want to make sure we're clear
Yeah,
on that.
that's
None.
why I haven't been able to move out and I'm 21.
I have more notes to get to you from you, but before we do that, I did want to ask this question. It's related to a conversation we were having a little bit earlier on in the show. I know some of you are in relationships, but to answer the question as if you were single, well, I suppose you can even answer this question despite your relationship status. Do you think men should pay for first dates?
Not always.
Okay,
Like pay for the meal or something like that.
sure.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah?
Yes.
Into the mic if you can.
Oh, yes.
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 Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You said yes. Yes. Well, I'm a little confused here because wouldn't that be a man falling into his traditional gender roles?
Yes, I love traditional gender roles.
But are you deserving of traditional treatment from men?
I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
Are you deserving? I know you're in a relationship with a woman, but are you deserving of
That's what she
traditional
said,
treatment
Neil.
from men?
Yeah.
Wait,
Into the mic.
would it be the same thing? Like, would you let a girl pay for your first meal?
Hold on. Let's
First
not
date.
derail. Answer the
Okay.
question.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Are you deserving?
Are you deserving of traditional treatment?
Yeah, of course.
I think so.
Yes.
Hold on. All 4 of you have been engaged in basically sex work. You've all admitted to having sugar daddies. Is that even approaching being a traditional woman, having sugar daddies?
Well, if we're talking about like 50-50, like I like would say that like when you're first trying to establish a relationship, like if you can prove that like traditional will be like gender roles, I think that's where you're going.
Yeah.
You have to, for a woman, like womanly duties, man willing duties, provide, but also be protective, whatever. the first dates, like, yeah, pay for the meal, but like when you're in a relationship and establish that, a man might not always have that or be able to provide all that, so you have to be able to match each other's energy. Like, oh, I'll pay for this if, you know, like, because that's what we're in a relationship. But you do obviously want to like look good in front of the woman. Like, I mean, would you go on a date and not pay for the meal, or would you let the girl pay for the meal?
Well,
Brian?
that's a
What
different
he's
conversation.
asking is if you deserve it because you participated in sex work. Do you deserve a man, a traditional man,
You
because
used to be
you've done
you used to be a
untraditional?
stripper, you've done sugaring or whatever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You still deserve it. Okay. All right. Now, you were talking about, well, once you get into a relationship, then things can become a bit more 50-50. You said your longest relationship was 2 years. Was it a 50-50 relationship?
Well, we were in junior college. Yeah, I would say it was 50-50. Like,
But at the beginning, he would pay for dates?
yeah.
Okay.
Like when we would go on our dates, when we went to movies, he'd pay for the dates. When I traveled to Chicago where he was from, like I'd pay for other things. Like
Would you pay for the flight?
yeah, I paid for the flight.
Okay. But on the first dates, you do want the guy to pay?
Yeah, and I think it recalls back to like the accountability part. Like just because I danced back in the stripped back in the day, like doesn't mean like I consecutively still do it. Like,
When's the last time you had a sugar daddy?
like 2 years now.
And if a guy didn't pay for the first date, would there be a second date?
Yeah, I don't really think it matters that much.
You want a guy to pay for the first date, but
Like,
if he doesn't, you'd
ideally,
be
I
okay
guess,
with
but
it.
if he didn't, like,
Would there be a second date if he
No,
didn't?
it's not a deal breaker. I know.
So, okay, check comes, or the server comes. Will there be anything else? No. 2 checks, please. Will there be a second date?
Yeah, of course.
Will there be a second date?
Yeah.
At least you stand on business.
If their personality is good, yes.
No, no way.
Okay.
Hashtag what's your price?
Well, I guess what is difficult for me to understand is why should a man pay for a first date? That's what I want to know.
Because a man asked me out.
So,
Why you're gonna ask me out if you can't pay for a date?
Do you ask guys out?
Do I ask guys
Yeah.
out? Absolutely not.
Have you ever asked a guy out?
No.
Okay. So de facto, men have to ask to get a date.
I feel like the reason that I believe men should always ask out women is because I think it's a masculine thing. So
Is it is it feminine to be duping men out of their money on a for dates? Is that feminine and traditional?
Shifting gears.
I think it's feminine, right? Because
It's feminine to
because feminine
to manipulate and take advantage of men financially.
I guess you could say it's more of a female thing, more
is,
female.
yeah, it's like a female thing.
Well,
I guess.
I'm actually, I'm willing to grant this. I'm willing to just kind of grant that it's true, that it's far more masculine for a man to ask a woman out on a date than, of course, it would be feminine for a woman to ask a man out. I'm just actually willing to just kind of grant that that's true. Can you tell me why it's masculine to pay for the date, though?
Because I mean now, like, I think things are different. Like, I think like the pay and everything. But back in the day, I feel like the reason men always paid for first dates was because they make more money. They're the providers, right? Men are like providers,
Gender roles.
protectors.
Yeah.
Well, no, they had expectations as suitors that they could potentially be finding a woman who they could have children with, and the expectation came that she would likely be a virgin or likely have almost no body count whatsoever and would be a good wife to them, et cetera, et cetera. So they were willing to shell that out in order to find the right ones, in order to have their children and be a good wife and all of those things. This is a whole different scenario now. And again, I'm kind of willing to just grant that it's far more masculine for a man to ask out a woman than it is feminine for a woman to ask out a man. I'm just willing to grant that's true. But why is it more masculine to pay? That's what I'm not sure about.
For me, the men that I encounter usually just make more money. But like, I don't think a man has
But
to
even if they
pay.
don't make as much money, I don't understand why it's a masculine trope to pay. Why is that masculine?
Did I say that was masculine?
Yeah,
to
you
pay?
said it was masculine.
to pay.
Yeah, you said it was like a masculine
Yeah.
thing to pay. But I think it comes out like
I
a
guess
gender
like
roles.
masculine is just like
Gender
I don't know.
roles.
It's just like gender roles, right?
Gender
like
roles.
It's just,
So you have the expectation that men will pay because of gender roles?
yeah. I mean, just for the first date, I mean,
And what are women's gender roles supposed to be? Should they be virgins as part of their gender role?
no, I don't think they need to be virgins.
Oh, okay. Well, then no, I don't think that men should have to adhere to any gender rules if you don't think that women should have to adhere to any of theirs, right?
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense.
To each their own.
So I guess almost Andrew already made the point, but just to kind of reframe it a little bit, should men pay for first dates? Just to you.
They don't have to.
No, but should.
Should they? Yes. I think they
Should
should.
women be virgins?
Should women be virgins?
Yes.
No.
Okay. There you have it.
Okay.
It's interesting. Women have completely abandoned and cast aside any and all of their traditional gender roles, yet with the utmost entitlement, still expect men to adhere to their traditional gender roles. I find that interesting. Kind of like the buffet of equality. You want to pick and choose what benefits you. Men have to still exist in the 1950s world, but women can exist in a 2024 world where you do OF, you're a stripper, you do sugar daddy websites, you do all this stuff. But men should pay for first dates, men should be providers, men should protect you, blah, 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 blah. It's interesting how that works.
I mean, if
Yeah,
a
in
guy
fact, let's dive a little deeper. What gender roles should women take on? Should they take on any female gender roles? Like, what
Yes.
should they actually take on as
Yes,
females?
for sure.
What? Well, what are they?
Well, for instance,
Well,
I
hang
think,
on, let me ask her real quick. She was making the claims first, so I want to ask you directly. What actual gender roles should women take on?
Well, I mean, I still think women should have like a low body count. I just don't think being a virgin is like a possibility nowadays because, I mean, you date people and then
Oh, it's
after a year or
impossible?
two. Lauren. I mean, I guess
You
I
just
don't.
have to, right? I mean, you must.
I mean, I feel like
Okay. So low body count. What other gender role?
I feel
what
like a
actual
guy
gender
won't date
roles
you
do
more
think
than a
woman should
couple
take on?
months if you don't end up having a sexual relationship with them.
Okay,
so
okay.
how are you
Forget that for a
supposed to date
second.
to marry nowadays?
What other gender roles besides just that do you think women should adhere to?
Cook, clean, be mothers.
Okay. What if and what about submission to their husbands?
Yeah, submission.
And what does that mean? What's the entailment of submission?
Submit. So just what they say goes.
Always?
Always.
What if you disagree about where your kid should go to school?
I don't care.
Should you
the
submit
man
to what
can
the husband says?
Yeah.
Now, what if that
If he's a
school
good
is
man, I trust his
hang on. What if the
decisions.
school is an hour and a half out of your way, and you say there's a perfectly good school that's even better, and it's only 20 minutes away, right? So I'd prefer to drop the kids off there. You still going to submit?
Yes.
Yes.
Damn.
Okay.
I'm very submissive, so. You can ask my
Okay.
ex.
Wait, related to this, do you want to get married?
Yes.
Have kids?
Yes.
Do you want to get married? Have kids? Just say into the mic.
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I want to get married, no kids.
Well, you have kids.
I have kids too.
You're married. Did you take your husband's last name?
Yes.
Are you going to marry a man or
I
what?
don't know.
You
I mean,
date women, so I don't know.
or a mask female.
Will you take your husband's last name?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Will you take your husband's
Yeah.
last name?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Didn't get you guys on that one. I just it's interesting. Like going back to it really quick. It's so a lot of women they'll demand all the privileges and benefits of a liberalized society, while still demanding men take on all the burdens of traditional society. And it's just like, you want your cake and eat it too, you know?
What's the burden part? The body count? Because that seems like the only like controversial conversation that we had in regards to like
Body
gender
count.
roles.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, though, that I actually believe the answers that are given when it comes to submission. Most men will not abandon a submissive woman who is taking good care of them. They just really won't do it for the most part. Though some do, I understand that there are some who will under
Killer
some
of Cereal
circumstances.
donated $200. Men, forced military conscription, cannot vote unless we sign up for selective service. Women can vote to send men to war. That alone says women should pay first. Do you believe women should be drafted?
Just show of hands. Do you think women should be drafted in the same way that men have to be drafted?
Talking about war, right?
I agree.
W, Andrew.
War, right?
You guys don't
that what you
think?
said?
You guys
In the
don't.
military, yes.
So okay, the men have to register for the selective service in the event of.
So
No
in the-
way.
in-
Women should stay home.
Women should stay home.
I think given the context of this, the
Women should be
climate that we're
virgins
in-
then, right?
Yeah, ideally, you know what?
Have
ideally,
only one sexual partner their entire life.
I would ideally want to have been a virgin for. I thought I was going to be in the relationship with my kid's dad that I met at 18 for life. You know?
Wait, so okay, go ahead. You were saying something, but I want explanations as to. None of you raised your hand.
Well,
I'm on the so
I raised my hand. I do think women should be drafted,
Well,
like
besides you,
given this
Anna.
context and
Okay.
of the society that we're
And
currently
sent
in.
right to the front lines.
In this current society that we're in, I think it's fair if women are drafted. Yeah, unless
And
we
sent
regress.
right to the front lines.
Yeah, like infantry.
Right
sure,
alongside the
yeah.
men.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Wait, I
say
agree.
like if we were to regress back into like when the family structure was more traditional, then sure, I'd say that women ought to stay home. But given the climate that we're in right now, no, I don't think it's fair.
If you were drafted, would you go to war?
I would have to. I'd be
Would
drafted.
you go?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have
Yeah.
to. You could dodge it.
Well, I don't know if I could dodge it, but I would go. Yeah,
There's
if I was
draft
drafted.
dodgers. You can.
Yeah, you would go.
Draft dodgers?
Wait, going around the table before we
Pregnant.
get into it, do you consider yourself a feminist?
No.
Honestly, no.
No? Okay.
No.
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 Is anyone a feminist here?
Well, I think Andrew's definition of feminist is a movement towards equality or egalitarianism with a rejection of patriarchy. Does that, so rejection of patriarchy, does that change your answer? Anybody? So,
No.
So then, in favor of patriarchy?
Yeah.
I guess. I
Really?
never really thought about it. I mean, I'm dating a woman, so maybe that makes it different.
Okay. You would-
I'm in favor of patriarchy.
in favor of patriarchy.
That means like inequality or no inequality? Like, oh wait,
A male-led society.
Patriarchy means of the father. It means that the systems are led by and men are in charge of systems. All systems, the family, government, everything, men are in charge. That would be patriarchy.
Yeah, I do think that. Yeah, just because I think
Okay.
scratching my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to patriarchy.
Okay.
So if men tomorrow say that they don't want women to vote, do you think you would be for that, right?
Okay.
My husband doesn't let me vote anyway. Like,
Well, I mean, he should.
Yeah.
You should double his vote.
Yeah.
Well, if I do vote, then it would be a double for his vote. But
Yeah.
he doesn't recommend that I vote. So.
No, I mean, but that's absurd. He should recommend that you just vote how he votes. But anyway,
Yeah.
so the going around the table, right? The quick question here is: if men didn't want you to vote, would you be okay with that? Would you just be like, yeah, sure, I'm not going to vote?
Are we going around the table?
Honestly,
Tell us how you
wouldn't-
really feel.
Honestly, I wouldn't really care. I don't like to follow politics.
Oh. Okay. All right.
I think there's so many women that are voting incorrectly that I would give up my right to vote so that we could cancel out those women's votes 100%, because I think men are probably smarter at it.
Okay. All right.
Because we're whores. Because we're prostitutes, I should say.
You said it, not me.
No, you did say, well, implied it.
I didn't know.
No, you guys did say it because you guys
No,
were
that
saying
was
like
An-
the
that was
definition of
Andrew.
prostitution.
That was definitely
that was
Andrew.
Andrew.
Wait, is
Yeah,
Andrew frozen? Oh, he just looked frozen.
No, there's no implication. You engaged in prostitution. There's no two ways about that. So there's no implication. I'm
Rest in
not trying to
peace.
make an implication where there isn't one. I'm just outright saying that that's prostitution.
Rest in peace. Nick, do we have more reacts?
We do.
Before we do that, going to you, Lauren, more of your notes. You said you're Republican, correct?
Yes.
I'll open it up to this whole panel, but I don't know if in your notes you said difficult to date. Maybe you didn't. Difficult to date as a Republican in California.
Who
Did
said
you say that? Did you say maybe I'm?
No.
Okay, well, on that note, though, going around the table, well, I guess, would you, well, this is maybe just for you. Would you date a Democrat / liberal / feminist / vegan?
No.
I don't know why I threw vegan in
No.
It fits.
Yeah, it does fit. No, I wouldn't.
there. Show of hands if you would date any of these. Nobody? Come on.
Vegan
Come on.
or ignore?
Come on. I know you're the
Not the vegan. She
Not
obviously
even the
no
vegan.
meat.
All right. Nick, the reacts?
Yeah.
I don't know what these are. Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Sound on, right?
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Wait, what are reacts like to what they?
Who's that?
Oh, they bugged here.
Just-
Reload it.
Okay. While he's doing that, Maddie, can you read this?
Sorry to backtrack, but can we ask around the table how many of the ladies use anti-aging creams and the like? If you use that, you can't say you think you'll look better.